Welcome back to the Bourbon Note, everybody. I'm Ben. I've got a 10-year blind bourbon banger battle on the bar. Let's get into it. So as you can see, I have got quite the flight on my hands tonight. This is a 10-year bourbon banger battle, and I've been wanting to do this for a while. Right off the bat, let's talk about the proofs of these, because typically when I do a blind, I like to keep the bourbons at a very similar proof if possible, because that can kind of sway things. Now that being said, if you're doing a bunch of the same proof, you might have different ages, and that can sway things too. So these all being 10 years, they do have varying proof points. So the Mac 10 is obviously a bottled in bond product, so that's 100 proof. The Jack Daniel's 10-year batch 2 comes in at 97 proof. Eagle Rare, 90 proof. This is the Michter's 10-year, and that one comes in at 94.4. If this looks a little weird, it's because I'm actually using a stand-in bottle. I don't have the real bottle. I'm doing this off of a sample from non-bike riding Dave Vogelsang, so thank you, Dave. And then I've got the Russell's Reserve 10-year at 90 proof. Now this one is the LLME bottle, and I don't know how that compares to just a regular run-of-the-mill Russell's Reserve, so take that into consideration when results time comes in. So, if you've watched one of these blind battles before, you know that I do have glasses behind all these bottles, but this order means nothing. It's just to have the bottles on the bar to make the video look a little bit cooler. These glasses are all mixed up, so I don't know what I'm drinking, and I'm gonna run through them back and forth a couple of times. I'll fast forward through the nosing and the tasting, because that can get a little bit long. And yeah, I'll check in with you after that. So let's get into the nosing. Please hold. So this is definitely going to be really hard.
That's what she said.
These are all on the nose really good. By the way, I should say I'm a big fan of all of these. I'm a really big fan of the Henry McKenna 10-year. I know that a lot of people have their opinions about that. I just released a video about that not too long ago, so go check that out. I've actually only had the Michter's 10-year one time, and it was off of this sample. And the Jack Daniel's, I've only had that much of it. And so I haven't had a pour of that in a while. But what's coming across to me is there's a couple of these that I'm noticing a lot of similarities, and then a couple of outliers. So I'm gonna go, my right is sample number 1, and then 2, 3, 4, 5 on my left. So sample number 1 so far is kind of the fruitiest. It's almost got a little bit of a grape-ish note to it. But I mean, all of these are really, really nice on the nose. I've kind of got, so far, when I do these, I like to okay, which one comes out, if I just did this on nosing, what would my order be? And I have that order. Like so far on the nose, it's kind of a battle between number 3 and number 5 for first place. I think I'm gonna go 3, then 5, then 4, then 2, then 1. But that's just on the nose. That can completely change. And even the nosing can change after you taste it, because your smell and taste work together. So anyway, I'm gonna get into sampling these. I'll fast forward again and check back with you in a minute. So after the first round of tasting, I did do water in between them. I think I'm gonna do water between all of these, just because they're all different products, different brands. Some things have changed a little bit from the nose, for sure. I still kept my 5th place in 5th, but my 2nd place moved to 4th on the palate. Now, it's probably important to say too, I've said before, I'm a fan of all of these. There's not a bad bourbon on the bar here. I really, really like all of these. I mean, I really like the Russells, the Eagle Rare, and the McKenna, Eagle Rare, and the Russells, because I can get those fairly regularly. Eagle Rare is a little harder to find in Minnesota, but I have a few backup bottles. The Jack 10 I don't drink all that often. I kind of drink that one sparingly because I can't find that one. And the Michter's I only have the one experience with. So, but I remember liking it. But yeah, so whatever comes in 5th place is still a great bourbon, as far as I'm concerned. You may not like some of these, I don't know. Anyway, so now I'm kind of battling it out between the samples 2, 3, and 4 here. And sample 2, which was in 4th place on the nose, is battling it out for the 1st place spot. So I'm gonna go through these again and see if I can come up with some results. Stay tuned. Okay, so I think I've got my results here. This is very, very difficult. Mainly because it came down, and I think like a lot of the flights when you do a blind battle, it comes down to a couple of them that you just, you know, they're so close in how much you like them that's like, okay, I gotta pick one. And my 2nd and 3rd place were like that. I had to really kind of just, it's like, okay, I don't know, there's X, Y, and Z I like about this one, X, Y, and Z I like about that one. And so that's the thing that always gets me hung up on these. A lot of times I can kind of find, like, so for example, in this one, my number 1 is just my number 1 right off the bat. It's hands down my number 1. And it was that way the very first tasting through, backwards, forwards. I tasted them in different orders. My winner was the winner from the get-go, as they say. And incidentally, my last place was last place. Right off the bat as well. And not that it's not a bad bourbon, I just think that it has a little bit less to offer than the other ones on here. But these are all great. So in last place, this one would still be a great kind of everyday sipper sort of bourbon. Certainly would not mind, you know, just sitting and have a pour of this, which obviously I don't because I have all of these except for the one on my shelf and I like them all. So anyway, let's get into the results here and see if everyone's gonna be pissed at me, because every time I do one of these videos, inevitably a bunch of people get pissed. So in last place, we have, oh my God, it's the Henry McKenna. I would have never guessed that. That did not taste like Henry McKenna to me at all. Interesting. Even now that I know what it is, I'm thinking back to tasting this, and this did not come across as the Henry McKenna, definitely. I would have probably guessed that my number 1 was the Henry McKenna. So now I'm very interested in seeing how this goes. So 2nd place was sample number 2, or I mean, sorry, 4th place, sample number 2, and that one is Michter's. I had a suspicion that this was the Michter's because it was the most unfamiliar. This one was kind of a front runner at first, and then there was something on the last couple times I went through it that there was just something that was off about it. That it's not that it wasn't good, it's definitely really good. It just, I don't know, there was just a weird different note, and that's why if you would have made me guess these, I think I would have at least gotten the Michter's right, because again, I just didn't recognize that flavor note. And I don't know, I didn't like it quite as much. So then in 3rd place is sample number 4, which is, yeah, 3rd place is sample number 4, which is the Eagle Rare. Okay, interesting. Well, I am a fan of Eagle Rare. I'm still shocked that the Henry McKenna came in last, to be honest, at 100 proof. Would have thought maybe had a little bit of an edge, but, you know, blinds, what do you do? Okay, so let's reveal the winner, because that's gonna also reveal the last place. So now we're down to the Jack Daniels and the Russells, which is interesting. So the winner of the 10-year blind bourbon banger battle is the Jack Daniels 10-year. All right, so Russell's Reserve LLME showing strong at 2nd place. Doing blinds is always fun because they never turn out the way you think, because coming into a blind, you always at least have some ideas. Like, I don't come into these hoping one's gonna win because I don't care which one wins. I just wanna know, you know, how they stack up against each other. Now, obviously blinds are subjective. I could do this exact same blind tomorrow and maybe come up with different results. But they are always interesting. It's a good way to just kind of strip away your own bias and just taste things, you know, not knowing what they are. But you always do come in with at least a little bit of an idea of like, I wonder where this one's gonna place because I particularly like it. And I love the Henry McKenna 10-year. And it came in last place. And that is kind of shocking to me because this sample I would have never guessed was the Henry McKenna. I really wouldn't have, because it didn't to me taste like it at all. And it was also the first one I drank too. So it didn't have, you know, it wasn't like there was something ahead of it that influenced it. So yeah, that's the fun part about doing these. But that being said, I will still defend this. I will die on the hill that the $65 price point for this is not a ripoff. Go check out the video. I talk about that a little bit. But anyway, this was a fun flight. Now, if you watch this channel regularly, you'll know I got to do the blend. So this is going to make a 50-year bourbon. That's the kind of math that the bourbon note is known for. I'm not going to try to do the math on adding up all the proofs. You can do that at home if you would like. So, whew. I got to tell you, sometimes these blends don't turn out. I'm kind of finding more often than not they don't turn out. They're just better on their own. But this one right off the rip, I got to tell you, is pretty good on the nose so far. It's coming across really, really sweet. There's almost like a fried pastry and custard. That's really, really interesting. It's a vanilla forward blend for sure. All right, well, hey, cheers everybody. Let's try this blend. Please hold. That blend fell completely flat on the palate. The nose was great. The palate is, the flavors are good, but it seems like it's like a weaker, like it's lower proof than any of these. Which, you know, that's gonna happen when you're doing blends, so I guess they don't all pan out. That being said, it's good enough to sit and sip on. I definitely have ended up with a full pour of whiskey after doing, you know, you just got to pour enough in the sample glasses to make sure you can go back and forth and get a proper tasting. That's why I wait until Fridays or Saturdays to do these. It is a Friday right now, so I'm going to go enjoy this pour of whiskey. Thank you very, very much for watching. This has been a 10-year blind bourbon battle on the Bourbon Note. I'm Ben. Please like, comment, and subscribe if you haven't already. We'll see you in the next one.